It was one of the most boring books I've read in my life. Like when I tell y'all I was fighting for my life to get through this book, y'all. Hi, my name is Aalaney, and welcome back to my channel if you're already subscribed. And if you're new here, hi. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in May and April. It was supposed to be in April TBR, but I had to work and a lot of things got in the way, so it stretched into May. So today I have 5 books that I read in the span towards the end of April and then the beginning and end of May. That's the time frame that I read all these books. But I'm gonna just start with the books that I read first and then the last book that I read. The first book that I read in April, towards the end of April, I think, was Me Before You by Jojo Moes or Moes. And it's basically about this girl that is she recently lost her job and she basically is looking for another job, but all the jobs she comes into are not the best. And so when she goes to this employment center, they find this job for her and it's a caretaker job. And initially she was kind of opposed to the idea of being a caretaker because she didn't want to do like a lot of the dirty work, but it wasn't that type of position. It was basically her being a babysitter for somebody that was paralyzed. Her name is Lou, by the way. I just realized I didn't mention her name. Her name is Lou, and she's gonna be taking care of this guy named Will. And that's basically the story. And the story is about I want to overall say that the story is about love and finding yourself because in this book, it just shows the different ways that you can love somebody. It's self love, it's family love, familial love, um, it's romantic love in this book. Um, the thing about this book, I actually, because the reason why I chose to read this book is because I love the movie and also it was I wanted to read books that were on theme with spring and this book kind of gave spring vibes and I already had it in my little library, so I decided to read it instead of just going out and buying more spring related books. So I decided to read this and it was beautiful, but I realized that it was more realistic than the movie and it just gave more perspective than the movie did. Not that the movie isn't good because the movie is wonderful, but I feel like the book made me realize it made me realize how skewed my point of view was when it came to Will because initially when I watched the movie I was so upset that he chose I'm kind of this is a spoiler and I'll tell you guys where to skip, but he chose to end his life because throughout the book she finds out while she's taking care of him that he wants to end his life and her main mission is to get him to live, to see the beauty in life, to see that there is a reason to live even if he can't move as much anymore, right? And so her whole mission throughout this book becomes it kind of turns into her trying to save him. And it's crazy because I'm not read, but when I watched the movie when I was younger in high school, I genuinely saw it as a love story. And I'm not trying to reduce this book to like her having a personal mission and her trying to prove a point. And that wasn't what it was. But from a certain point of view, it does seem like she was just trying to save him. And that kind of makes me sad because I genuinely do believe that she loved him. But I feel like she was really just trying to save him. And it just makes me sad because I don't know. I don't know. It's just like something about this book that kind of made me feel weird. Like trying to put it into words. Because I know a lot of people are trying, like, I read some of the comments after I read the book, and a lot of people were in the comments. I mean, not in the comments of Goodreads. Sometimes after I finish a book, I like to like scroll through the comments of Goodreads and to see what other people think about the book. And I noticed that a lot of people were just like, "Oh, I didn't like the book because they made it seem like death would be better than being paralyzed or disabled." And I don't think that was what the author was trying to like say at all. I think that the whole point of the book is that just because he's disabled, he should be able to make his own choices. Like, and that's the thing. And another thing I noticed in this book is that like how in books you have point of views. there were chapters where we would see Lou's point of view, we would see her sister's point of view, we would see the mom's point of view, we would see the dad's point of view. We never saw Will's point of view. It's like, even I don't know if the author did that on purpose, she probably did, but it's like even the author didn't even include Will's point of view. We were always seeing and being told what he was thinking through other people. Oh, Will wasn't feeling good today, or Will was in a bad mood. It never gave us Will's point of view. The only time we really got Will's point of view is when he wrote that letter, because it was all him. He wrote that letter for himself. And towards the end, there's a letter he wrote for Lou at the end of the story. Basically, he left her, like, he just left her a letter after he died, just telling her what he, like, how he felt and all the things he wanted her to do with his life, and just his feelings. And I was like, that's the first time we truly got a piece of what he really felt inside without anybody else telling us, that letter. And it just really made me sad, because it is a love story, but from another point of, there's another voice in my head telling me that it was also kind of a mission for Lou to just keep him alive. But I genuinely do think she loves him. And even the boyfriend, I like saw it from his perspective so bad. And I know like a lot of people don't like the boyfriend in this book because he's like annoying. He's so annoying. He's inconsiderate. He's like one of the worst book boyfriends ever. But like I saw from his point of view, because like I remember she would just she when she started taking Will and then she realized he was gonna die, she really devoted most of her time and energy into making him happy. And the boyfriend was just like, bro, like I'm your boyfriend, like this isn't right. And she was just like, but he's gonna die. And I'm just like, you guys aren't treating him like another how you would treat a regular person, because if Will wasn't disabled and this was like a whole different situation, you would see how wrong it is for you to be spending so much time with this guy. Like Will, like they weren't treating him like a regular person. So I genuinely see his point of view of like things will never be the same. I'm not saying that death is better than being paraplegic or disabled at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just that I genuinely see Will's perspective and point of view. And I didn't see it at all when I was younger. I just thought he was selfish. I was like, bro, like you're rich, like you can afford to live a good life if you wanted to. You're not trying, but I genuinely understand. I genuinely understand. Like I genuinely understand. And I think that's the best part of growing up, because your mindset does grow to certain things. Your mindset about certain things does, change, and you do grow. And I just love that. And this book is just a perfect example of what it means to like grow, self growth, becoming independent, finding yourself. Just it shows loves in all its forms, in my opinion. And I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I genuinely loved it. I genuinely loved this book. It was pretty good. It wasn't pretty good. It was amazing. I really liked it. But I could understand why other people wouldn't like it. But yeah, that was Me Before You by Jojo Moles. So the second book I read this spring was The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. It was a book that was recommended on TikTok. And the only reason I bought it is because I've seen people talk about how good it was. This book is basically about a girl trying to get a job. She finally lands a job with a rich family. it While working there, it becomes very tumultuous and very strenuous, because the wife, Nina Winchester, the woman that hired her, is very odd and strange, and she exhibits like weird behavior, and she notices it immediately. And what was the name of the main character? What name? I forgot the name of the main character. Millie notices how strange Nina Winchester is. A lot happens. It's a thriller book. It's a thriller book that I see recommended on TikTok. I've seen recommended on TikTok a few times. Um, the reason why I can't formulate any words or any thoughts is because I genuinely didn't find this book very interesting. Like I don't even know what to say about it, because it was just genuinely. I'm not saying that was completely boring. I feel like if you don't read thrillers a lot, or if you're looking for a quick, exhilarating read, maybe this could do something for you. But it really didn't do anything for me. There are a few things throughout the book I felt like didn't really make any sense either. And it's just like certain situations where it's just like, why you could have literally chosen, you could have just done something differently in your whole outcome. And it's like even the whole plot and whatever, the whole plan that they came up with was so dumb to me because I just felt like there was a better way to get out of it. Yeah. They have another book and I will not be reading it. Um this is just not a good recommendation. I'm not saying and the title I know I said like I the title kind of you've read the title, but I'm not saying that like you can't read books from TikTok, but I'm just gonna be wary. And I don't get all my recommendations from TikTok at all. I rarely really even follow any book creators on there. Just that sometimes I'll see books recommended a few times, and I'm just like, well, you know what? I'll get it. The next book I'm gonna review is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Yeah, I call my Alex Michaelides. I hope I'm saying that right, but it's another book that was recommended to me. Not recommended to me, but I bought because of TikTok because I've seen a few videos about it and how good it was. And this was another book where it was kind of a letdown. It wasn't too bad, actually. It wasn't too bad. It was just that even in the notes when I was writing the book, I was just like, I hope this is not what it's gonna be. Because I even wrote like I wrote a little note in the book where I was like, I don't trust the person, the main culprit, the person who was behind everything, really, and I don't trust him at all. And I just was hoping that the book wasn't gonna be predictable in that way because even the parallels of the person who was behind everything and then the patient, her name was Alicia Alicia. It's probably Alicia because this is a British book. Yeah, it's a British book. I'm pretty sure they're in London, so I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Alicia Benson. It was like the main character, and then there's another main character who is behind everything. He's kind of the reason why she is the way she is, and the parallels kind of gave it away. And I was hoping it was not going to be that obvious. And I know then if I was totally oblivious to like what I was like feeling about the character that was behind everything, that ending would have been everything to me. Like it would have like really, but as that was happening, I was like, oh, I kind of see where this is going. It was painfully obvious because the guy was being so weird. Like I'm just like, bro, as a therapist, like you're you're being weird. Like you're not supposed to be acting like this. But yeah, it's a 3 stars. It's not bad at all. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing that's gonna just really just blow your mind. But it's a pretty good read. I don't regret it. The book that I read after The Handmaiden was The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkoff. And it's basically about a writer. She writes about true crime, and she is staying in a cabin. For she was supposed to be staying for a couple of weeks, but she ended up staying over like a couple of weeks for a couple of months because she wanted to escape her family and the problems in her real life, and she was using the book as an excuse to escape. But she soon realizes that you can't always escape your problems, and problems will find you when you try to run from them. And yeah, a whole lot of things ensues. She finds a kid outside who has a gashed head, and this all kind of leads back to her past. I don't want to reveal too much, but it's a pretty good book. I think this is another book that I rated 3 stars. The ending, it felt like one of those movies where that you watch where it's like it's very exciting, but it's just like it feels like something I've seen and read before. It's not that it was like copy and paste of other things. It just felt like it was nothing. It was very predictable. It was nothing exciting, nothing surprising. It wasn't very surprising to me. The ending, um, yeah, it wasn't surprising at all. Yeah, this book this video is probably not going to be the longest because all the books that I read this month, I don't want to say lackluster because I feel like that's kind of mean. I mean, except Me Before You, that was pretty nice. I love that. I love reading that. But every other book, it was kind of yeah lackluster. Not it is they can be exciting at times, but the endings didn't do anything for me. So I'm just searching for a book that's gonna do something for me. The last book was the worst, and it's the last book I read out of all of them. And I'm so glad it was the last book because I feel like if I would have read it, if I would have tried to read this, I probably wouldn't even finish the other books because I would have just took a break. But The Turn of the Screw by Henry James is a literary classic. It's um it's something that's revered amongst writers, and I don't understand why. I genuinely don't. It was You think a book about ghosts and hauntings would be so, exciting, thrilling, like very like, have you in this mood and just have this aura about it. But it was one of the most boring books I've read in my life. Like when I tell y'all I was fighting for my life to get through this book, y'all.
I'm so tired, child. I'm so tired. I'm really tired.
Like I was fighting for my life to get through this book. So it's basically about a woman who is hired by a man to take care of these two children. His niece and nephew is their uncle hiring her, and their names are Flora and Miles. And it's actually this book was there's a show that's inspired by this book. The show is way better, way better, way better. I commend the producers and the directors of that show for making something so insanely exhilarating and enthralling to watch from this. From this. How did they get that from this? That's what I was like sitting there, I'm just like, do I not have like am I missing some type of perspective? Am I lacking some type of depth to really understand? Do I not have the capacity to really grasp what this author is trying to say? Because it felt like, I don't know, it wasn't enough in the book. Some of the things that she did didn't make sense. And in the book, it's basically this government. Okay, I feel like I kind of deviated from explaining the plot, right? I kind of deviated from explaining the plot. So this governess is hired by this man to watch his niece and nephew, Miles and Flora, and while she's watching them, she notices that they exhibit strange behavior, and that she can see things that other people can't, ghosts really. And I don't know if he genuinely did this on purpose. No, he did. It was intentional. But the thing is, too, he didn't do a good job at trying to put this into words. He was trying to make us question the governess's sanity because the governess, yeah, she's the one that is watching the kids and who's hired to watch them, right? And the whole point of the book is to question her sanity. Is she really seeing what she's seeing? And I think he wants us to feel he wants us to feel conflicted on whether or not to believe her. But it's like really there's honestly the thing is too, I know there there are signs throughout the book to show us what she's seeing is real. Basically. Like he is basically I feel like he wrote it for it to be real. It's not like she's going crazy or what she's seeing isn't true. I think what she's seeing is supposed to be real, right? But it just gives she is going crazy. Also, I was thinking that maybe because the book begins with a guy telling a story about this woman that he knew. So this isn't his story. He's telling it on the account of someone else, a governess. He even had a crush on her as well. So I'm like, either the narrator, the dude who's telling the story, is effing with us, or he wrote this and the governess was meant to be taken seriously, but I don't take her seriously at all. And I know we're meant to believe her, like she's supposed to, what she's seeing is supposed to be true, but I'm choosing not to believe her because I don't want to believe her, because the things that she does not give any solid proof, or they don't really explain her behavior. Like sometimes she'll see things and it just no explanation at all. Some of the things don't make any sense. Even the ending of the book, it just feels like, girl, like you just did what you did, and it's not even given that it's the ghost fault. Because I don't want to, explain the, spoil the ending. But it's not giving the ghost, it's the ghost is at fault, because I know the ghost is supposed to be real. I know that the way the kids act is supposed to be because of the ghost, and that they're being kind of controlled and everything. But it's literally giving like, girl, that is your fault. You did that to him. Like, that is literally what it's giving. I just don't get how this is a profound piece of work. I don't understand how, because it just feels like this dude was writing just to write. Like, it was just giving, he didn't even know where he was going with the book. Honestly, the ending felt a little rushed. It felt very rushed. None of it just seems coherent and whole. And I understand why it's a short story. It was just, it felt like someone found his transcript, his unfinished transcript, and they were just like, oh my God, like this could be something. And then they just published it and people ate it up. And maybe when I'm older, I'll reread it to maybe see if I'll like it again, but I doubt I will, because it's like the most boring thing I've ever read in my life. And I hate to say that. Even in school, when we had reading assignments, I found those more interesting. Like, I remember people talking about like and it's like, it's not even that I don't like classics. That's not it. Because even in school when we had to read Animal Farm, I loved it. I genuinely loved it. Don't remember a thing about it, but I just genuinely loved it. Or even when we had to read Macbeth, I loved Macbeth. Genuinely loved it. Like, it's not that I don't like classics, because even when I really don't understand the language of that era, I can still find a way to decipher it and still find a way to break it down to the point where I understand it, and I will still love it because I understand what the point they're trying to convey, what they're trying to write. Because Shakespeare, his language, his words can sometimes be so confusing. I remember when I was reading Macbeth, I had to go on Google 1,000 times to like figure out what this man was trying to say, but I got the point, and I still love the book. So that's not it. Maybe I just got to read another book by Harry James to give him a chance, maybe give him a chance to redeem himself. Even the relationship with the governess and the kids, the way she, especially with Miles, the way she would describe her interactions with him, I'm like, girl. And I will have to genuinely go back because I'm like, I know he's 10, but let me go back to the book to make sure he's not like a teenager. Because even if he was a teenager, it would still be weird. But I'm just like, girl, why are you explaining? Like, she would be like, oh, I gave him a hug to my brother. But I think, and that's what I'm like, that's why I was thinking, is the narrator effing with us? Because like, remember, like I remember I said that in the beginning of the book, this guy is telling a story to his friends over like, I think Christmas dinner or something, over like it's a holiday or something. He's telling a story to his friends. So I'm just like, maybe the narrator was just effing around. I've read a few because I even googled it, and I read a few reviews on the book, and they were just like, oh, Harry James obviously had a crush on his governess. And I was like, yeah, he did. He genuinely did. You can tell. But I was just like, maybe he wrote this as like a way of just saying that he wanted to f with us, and that's the narrators like. I think that's what the narrator was trying to do. He was just trying to f around, honestly. And the people he was telling the story to, he was just wanting to f with them. And if that scared them, they're actually pathetic. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still trying to understand. That's how bad the book is. I'm still trying to understand. Maybe I was missing something. Maybe the whole point of the book was for the narrator to just write nonsense and to see if people were going to eat it up. And people did. People actually like this book. And I get it because like everybody has different reading interests, and people just genuinely like different topics, but I can't believe anybody likes this. It wasn't even scary. That's the thing. I was just like, at least if it was gonna be boring, it could have at least a few scary elements, a few jump scares. Nothing. It was nothing. It just felt like the ramblings of a woman that was not mentally there. Just seeing, and the thing is too, even the things that she were like come to the housekeeper about, I'm like, that's why the housekeeper is like asking you, girl, like, are you sure you saw this? Because the things that you are coming to her with are totally normal things. She will be like, oh, like, Miles and Flora were together. And she was just like, she would be like, they're staring out into space. I'm like, girl, they could be dissociating, they could be daydreaming. The amount of times I daydreamed as a kid, like some of the stuff that she would come to the housekeeper about, I'm just like, those are perfectly like explain things. Like those are things that can be perfectly explained, perfectly normal things, bruh. Like you're not making sense whatsoever. But that's all I have for today. I know this book I just rambled about it and it might seem very confusing what I'm trying to say, but I hope you guys get an idea of what I was trying to say. Um oh, the current book I'm reading is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I started reading this after The Turn of the Screw. I had to take a little break because I was just like, bro, that book bored me so bad. I had to take a little break. And I literally started watching the show again just to cleanse myself of whatever that was. So I started rewatching the show. I didn't make it past episode 1, not because I was boring or anything. I just kind of started reading Normal People, and it's pretty good so far. It's really really good so far. Um, I'm gonna finish that soon. And since it's Pride Month, I want to read stories and books by LGBTQ authors and just stories about LGBTQ people, queer people. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna get a few books about that because I don't have I'm embarrassed to say, but I don't really have any queer books or books about the LGBTQ community or like telling their stories. So I'm gonna get a few books. I have a few options. Uh, I want to get Heartstopper because I know that's like a very popular show. I never watched it, but I've seen people talk about it. Other book was In the Dream House in Miramore. I don't know why I couldn't wasn't coming to mind. Um, and then the other one was The House in the Cerulean Sea. And then Red, White, and Blue. That's another popular show that I've seen. And then On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. That's another one that I really want to read. But yeah, those are a few books that I want to read for this month because I know it's Pride Month and I just realized I barely have any books by LGBTQ authors or about LGBTQ characters. So I just wanted to tap in. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single person that clicked on this video. I really hope you guys liked it. If you guys have any book recommendations or any video ideas, please recommend them below. Um, and let me know what you think about the video. Thank you so much. Bye.
Honey, I got what you want. Give me all of your love, 'cause it's burning hot.
Bye.
It's what you do to me, babe, I can guarantee.